All right, we should be good to go. Good evening, everybody, and welcome into the 2025 Davidson Baseball preseason webinar. I'm Justin Parker, and I'm going to hit lead off tonight, which just means I'm just going to kind of get us started and heading in the right direction. Got an action-packed hour planned for you because as we sit here now, we're just 8 days away from the Wildcats opening the season against Bryant next Friday at Wilson Field. It's hard to believe, but baseball season is back, and we know if you're on this webinar, you're very excited about it like we are. And tonight you're going to hear from some great folks, including head coach Rucker Taylor, the captains of the 2025 team, and some unique Davidson legends as well. But before we get this program rolling and I bring on Rucker, just a few notes on this program as we enter 2025. Davidson played its first baseball season back in 1902. Dick Cook was not the coach of that team. I'll pay for that later. They're Wildcat alumni all throughout baseball, from Boston Red Sox VP Gus Quattlebaum to Dodgers AA pitching coach Duran Olinger, who is on campus today, actually, to college coaches like Brett Beretti and Chris Pollard, to pro guys like Michael Carrico, Nolan DeVos, Bennett Flynn. And those are just some of the names out there right now, but there's many more. And all of that's really just to say that this is a program that has an impact beyond 4 years for a lot of guys, and especially within the game of baseball. So, and with that, I want to bring on head coach Rucker Taylor, and also let you know that we're going to have a Q&A session at the end of the night. So if you have any questions for us, just put them in the chat. So Rucker Taylor entering his seventh season as head coach of the Wildcats, his 13th overall at Davidson. And what's going on, Ruck?
New jokes, JP. I love it, man. This is good. This is what, year 5 or 6 of doing this, and we're diving into the bag, man. That's good.
Well, I'm going to revisit an old one now that you just said that. It's this time of year, and in my phone, the recents, I have Dick Cook, Will DeBose, and Rucker Taylor at the top. So I feel like it's baseball season again.
Yeah, it is. I think it was 70 something today, and so it's supposed to be 72, 73 tomorrow. And Jacob Hindelighter sent me a text the other day saying it was a Chamber of Commerce kind of day. So I think it is that time of the year.
We had a conversation. Some of the players didn't quite understand that. And we were talking about that last year. I think that's one of your regulars, right?
Yeah, I'm getting old, man. I'm getting old.
Well, it seems like Christmas was just a couple days ago. In a lot of ways, it feels that way. You get back from winter break and you hit the ground running, and it's January 24th, first official practice. You had some workouts before that. And it's really kind of a tight window here heading into the season. How do you feel as we sit here right on February 6th?
Yeah, so it's actually something the NCAA voted on a couple weeks ago, and it's allowing starting next year for all Division I teams 2 more weeks of full team practice, which I think most college coaches would say is probably a good thing. I think this time of the year, your biggest concern is players' health, and probably specifically pitchers' arm health, right? And I think that's something that, if our pitching coach has done a great job of, and we certainly prioritize and plan around. Injuries are going to happen. We certainly try to minimize, though, but we are collectively in a good spot. I think I'm pleased with where we're at. The injuries will be a part of it. It's just managing those the best we can. But, the 5 guys on this Zoom tonight, the 5 guys that were voted captains by their teammates, I think have done a wonderful job of, leading by example. Each has different personalities. They each do it in different ways. But I think this is a very, very good collective group of, also not just talented guys, but guys that are leading, within their own skin, their own comfort level. So I am very excited to get rocking and rolling next week.
Take us through a little bit. I know you were very pleased with the fall. But then you don't get to go right into your season. Everybody goes their separate ways for a while. What was kind of the message as they went their separate ways, and then as they came back from winter break?
Yeah, so I didn't talk a whole lot this fall. It kind of reminds me of a couple of teams we've had in past years where a lot of the older guys kind of handle stuff that needs to be handled. And a lot of the credit goes to the guys on this call for that. So, I told the guys, say I'm not a big motivational win one for the Gipper kind of deal. We certainly have conversations. I think this year we were intentional about presenting more things from other sources, right? We're watching more video really probably the past 2 or 3 weeks than we've watched, probably any season combined. Part of that is injury prevention. It's hard to get hurt, sitting on a couch watching an 80-inch TV in a climate-controlled room. Um, but I think it's just these guys are, they kind of know what we need to do, especially the guys on this call. And, the good and bad of last year's, we had a lot of injuries and a lot of younger guys played. It probably forced some guys to grow up a little bit quicker than they wanted to and probably needed to in some cases. But I think it's although we're not super old on a roster, if you look at guys that have, played a full season plus of college baseball, we certainly have that. I think that's a tough thing to do in a, place where we don't have grad school. We don't really redshirt a ton of guys, and you look around college baseball, and every school in the country is trying to be as old as possible. I think we're able to, do a little bit better job of this year just organically, whereas maybe some other places are able to do it in different ways. So I think this group is ready. I do. I think you're always want to have everybody 100% healthy. We're not quite there, but I think this group's ready to play somebody else.
What do you like about this group as it's coming together in terms of, what the lineup's going to look like? And we don't have to get specifics right now, but just I feel like in talking to you, you're pretty pleased with the guys you can call on this year.
Yeah, I think we have a chance to be like a 1 through 9 lineup. Not everybody's gonna put up the numbers that Putt did last year. You're gonna have 9 guys that do that. But I think we've got some guys that, are capable of playing defense if they're maybe not gonna hit 300. I think we've got a little bit of versatility at a few spots. We're a couple injuries away from, that being a major concern, and that's just the reality of, anybody in college baseball. I think it's really be heightened next year with the roster limits moving forward. But I think we have some guys who can play multiple spots. I think we are more athletic than we've been in a couple of years. And, I think if everybody's healthy, there are 4, 5, 6 guys that you could look at, say, yeah, that person's capable of, 300 plus with 10 home runs and 400 plus on base. And, is it realistic to think 6 guys are going to do that in one single season together? Probably not, but to have a group of 5 or 6 that could do it, it certainly makes you feel good about the lineup. And, in the pitching side, I think there's just more options. I think the thing that really time is going to tell is who fits where. This call, Perk and Matt both were very consistent last year. I think that's something that's really going to be key to this year. I think there's a handful of guys that have a chance to do it consistently, but of that handful, who does do it consistently? And I truly think a lot of our success will be dependent upon that. As we talked about today, it's when we fail, how do we handle that failure? And I think that's something that this game is really challenging because it does create a lot of failure. It exposes a lot of things. And, especially if you're a pitcher and you might not pitch again for a week, just based on arm needing to recover, that's a long time to sit and think about what went wrong, right? If you're a hitter and you're 0 for 4, man, sometimes BP the next day can't come soon enough, and you need that first hit. So I think that's going to be a challenge for every college baseball team, whether it's the worst team in the country, the best team in the country. I think this group is pretty well prepared to handle that because of some of the things we've gone through collectively and individually. And I think we'll handle that maybe better than we have in a lot of past years.
We touched on this in the previous call, but just in case anyone wasn't here, what about the schedule? What do you like? 10 A10 series this year. You've also got, in the non-conference, you're going to Clemson for a weekend. You've got South Carolina, Duke, even Bryant coming in, a very good early season test, NCAA tournament team as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good schedule, and obviously your eyes get drawn to the Clemson weekend or a Duke or South Carolina. And yeah, that's those are all great, obviously, the great environments. The good and bad North Carolinas we've talked about before with, 20 plus Division I teams. There's a lot of good baseball in this state. We put a couple teams last year that, maybe a person in California hadn't even heard of that, won their league. So I think it's whether it's a weekend or a midweek, just to find a sure W on the schedule. I think that's whether it's us, Queens, App State, Duke, Wake, any of the schools around here. Like there's just a lot of good baseball being played the mid-major level, or certainly in the Power Four, Power Five, whatever it is these days.
Playing NC State at Kannapolis as well. Failed to
Yeah,
mention
yeah.
that. Well, Rucker, let's bring your captains on, but as pitchers, Matt Weber, Wilson Perkins, infielders, Landon Reeves, Eli Putnam, and Michael O'Shaughnessy as they join us. Ruck, what do you like about this group?
Um, what do I like about this group? So I think they've all got their own story, right? A couple of guys have had injuries. A couple of guys have been, mainstays. A couple of guys have kind of been in and out of the lineup. They've all led kind of in their own way, right? Shaggy being one of the, I guess the only true junior, he got a ton of votes to be a captain. And, that's a little bit unique, right? That doesn't happen every year. And I think even since the semester break, he's come back and been more vocal and, I see him talking to guys more individually. Matt and Landon are roommates, as you might guess by how they're, positioned. But, they've been some guys that, really for 3+ years have been like the same person, meaning they came in super mature. Matt had really a 2-year injury that really limited him. And, it was a celebration. We threw a ball over basically 82, right, Matt? And to see him have the success he had last year and see how happy all the people were for him. I think that's really cool. And I think Landon's in the same boat, right? He's been a guy that's kind of been a platoon guy and has been in and out of the lineup, but has never been a different person. He practices hard every day. He's, kind of battling through a little bit of an injury right now. And, he's got the respect of his teammates and certainly his coaches. And he's the same person every day. There's a story he might be telling at a later date that's pretty cool that just kind of shows the type of person he is. Perk came in last year as a, first year, a junior college transfer, which is a really unique thing at Davidson. And man, he was himself, I think, from the get-go. And it's a fiery personality that gets guys motivated and he just competes his tail off. So I think it's, um, all four of those guys are different. And then obviously Putt, kind of the same deal, played a little bit as a freshman, had an injury as a sophomore. We're trying to find a way to get him on the field and, hurt his arm and really had a, legitimate serious injury to get back healthy. And, I don't gamble for a lot of reasons, but, if I had to say who the best player in the A10 was last year, it's him. And, you know, I don't know if it was even close personally, because he was at times really the only consistent guy on a lineup that really struggled at times, once Shaggy and Jack, had their broken hand and broken wrist. It was a depleted lineup, and it was just a reality. I thought he was our, best player and truly the best player in the league. So, and then went off the summer and destroyed the Cave, which is theoretically the best amateur baseball. So, everybody's got a different story. Yeah, I think if you ask what I like about him, some of the things I just said, but you got kind of intentionally, I got a little picture of Bo, our 6-month old. And yeah, I can truly say, if Bo grows up 20 plus years, 35, 40 plus in Matt Weber's case, it's like those guys are at this age, like, yeah, I'm gonna be a happy dad. That's regardless of baseball, right? Like they're just good people. And I get pumped up when Victoria brings him up to the field and these guys interact with him. That's cool. And I hope that's something he continues to have as he grows. So yeah, that's what I got.
Good deal. Well, captains, welcome in to the show here. And you are 8 days away from seeing another team on Wilson Field and getting to open this season. Wilson Perkins, how does that make you feel 8 days out?
Oh, I'm shaking. I'm really excited to get on that mound.
I mean, yeah, you summed it up. What for any of you captains, what has this time been like since the holiday break as you're really amping up and kind of counting down at the same time to opening day? Perk, you can take it first if you want.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously the intensity's growing. I mean everyone's counting down the days at this point, and we all are really excited to just get somebody else with a different uniform out there and just like Coach said earlier, I like to compete, and that's what we want to do. It's just we want to go compete, man. We want to go win.
All right, the roommates, Landon and Matt, tell us a little bit about the chemistry on this team. Um, Maybe an example or two of that.
It's definitely a really tight group. I feel like we share things and like just stories and struggles on the field. Especially the pitching staff. I feel like it's a lot like that 2022 team where you had seniors, like Fenton and Blake Healy and Brian Traven, some of those guys that were really outgoing and great people to talk to about on-field issues as well as off-field, and just great people to be around. So
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. Agree with what Matt said. I think the special thing about Davidson, one of the many special things about Davidson baseball is just the kind of person it attracts and the kind of person that Coach Taylor and the rest of the staff recruit to be here is top notch. And, really every single year, there's never a doubt in any of our minds that the freshman class is going to come in and really fill that same role of being great people, kind of coming together for a greater cause and trying to be helpful to all our teammates. So I think it's so awesome to have a great group of guys. And like Matt said, we've had a lot of great leadership in the past, especially on those 22 teams. A lot of guys who are on here today, who it's great to see still checking in with Davidson baseball, but it's awesome to have such a great group of guys.
Eli, you had a big year last year, as RT said, and a breakout year. First team All A10. You was also on the A10 All Academic team, led the A10 in home runs, and but tell me a little bit about kind of what that season was like for you, and how you're looking forward to this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really a unique season for me, and really every season kind of has its own storyline, and this one was one that I'll really remember forever. Not necessarily because of the stats that I put up or the accolades, but really what it took out of me to even get to that point, even be on the field. Having surgery the summer before, grinding through rehab, not knowing what the future looked like in terms of where I'm going to be playing, how my arm's going to be doing. I really think back to that winter break where every single day I'm doing anything I can, like putting on the VR goggles, taking swings, really buying into the mental game. I know Andy Bass is on this call. He's somebody that helped me out a ton. Just all the hard work I put in, kind of refiguring out who I was as a baseball player, who I was as a person, and then, kind of everything else just came naturally. Like it was the work that I put in beforehand. Once I started playing, there were no worries. Wasn't anything that I was focusing on in terms of stats, or it was really just go out there, enjoy, and be happy to be out on the field again.
And Shaggy, Rucker touched on the injury a little bit, and that's just part of the game and something that everybody has to deal with at some point. Doesn't make it easy by any stretch of the imagination, not saying that. But you've fought back from that. You were having a good year last year. How have you kind of turned the page looking toward 25?
Uh, Definitely last year it was tough mentally to go through that injury. And I mean, as we've all touched on here, that the guys around us have picked each other up all throughout the fall. And after that injury, even throughout the summer when I was rehabbing, I had guys checking in on me. So that was huge, especially mentally. Guys were still reaching out and picking me up, even when they didn't have to. And now coming into this fall and then going through that, and now the beginning before the season, it kind of all shows. I mean, on the field, we are probably the tightest team that I've had since we've been here. And I'm just ready to put it all out there and show everyone what we've really been working for.
Perk, give me a name of a newcomer that I'm not saying they're going to win all conference or anything like that or make the all conference team, but a newcomer to kind of look out for.
I think one of the guys that will have a good impact is Jamie Daly. He's really cool. I mean, as a pitcher, I love seeing my outfielders sprint around out there and catch balls. That's always a good sign. And he's been a fun guy to watch develop as for the fall and early spring, and I'm excited to see what he does.
Landon and Matt, you guys are veteran guys, which means you've been in a lot of post-game team huddles. What is the key to hearing what Rucker is saying post-game?
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle at times, especially when we win. You got the good post-game music going on in the background, but no, it's always fun, especially when we win, to get those post-game huddles, clap it up for the guys and everything, and definitely moments that I'll cherish forever.
yeah, that's always the time I look forward to, that, and then the pitcher huddle. Usually Coach Taylor always has a line or two about the game and like a laugh to share, especially when we win. So yeah, definitely looking forward to having quite a few of those huddles this spring.
Putt and Shaggy, what kind of confidence do you guys have in the pitching staff?
I've got a ton of confidence in this pitching staff. I think we've got a ton of guys that want to prove themselves and that have been working behind the scenes that people haven't seen, that are ready to go out there and show everyone what they've been doing. And I think Putt can touch on this also. There's a lot of guys that are built off of each other as well. So it's just going to be good to see that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the depth that we have. I know Coach Taylor touched on it. That's something that I think is really going to help us out, especially towards the end of the season. I think some of the teams previously, thinking back to like the 2022 team, I feel like we started off really hot. We had some really, really good top end guys, but maybe those fringe guys weren't getting as many innings just because those top end guys were pitching a ton. So now we've got more guys in the mix. And I think once you get down towards those last few games of the season where you need everybody to step up, that's only going to help us.
And then I guess Weber and Perkins give me what from a pitching standpoint, what does this lineup look like from an opposing pitching standpoint?
I'll start us off. They're tough to pitch to. I mean, I've been throwing to them for the past fall and spring. I mean, there'll be at bats where I'm like, dang, like they're just running my pitch count up. They're having good at bats, and it's just that's a thing that the opposing pitchers I feel like are going to have to deal with. Is man, they keep making you throw more pitches, and as a pitcher, that can get aggravating, and it can extend innings, and it can wear you out.
Yeah, I think I know Coach Joe touched on this when we met as pitchers, but every college team has their 1 through 9. I feel like our 1 through 9 is a lot deeper than most college teams. I mean, they're just really tough to pitch to. And I feel like it's gotten more competitive as they continue to see us. So really excited to see them get out there and face some guys that aren't wearing red and black for once. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
All right, Landon, we'll let you have the final word of the captains. Just final thoughts here is what needs to happen kind of between now and opening day for you guys to be ready to go.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that will happen in these I guess 8 days now. We trust in Coach Taylor and coaching staff to put us in the right positions. We're excited for another weekend of competitive scrimmages, doing everything we can to get our minds right, get our bodies right, and hopefully have everybody stay healthy throughout that. But the leadership structure that we have on this team, I'm really excited for, and I think we have great people, great coaches, great players, and very excited to get this thing going.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. That's your team captains for this year: Landon Reeves, Matt Weber, Eli Putnam, Michael O'Shaughnessy, and Wilson Perkins. You're going to see all them out on the field at Wilson Field very soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, JP.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to transition a little bit. We've got a couple Davidson legends joining us, Dick Cook and Will DeBose. Coach Cook, of course, led the Wildcats for 28 years and has continued here at Davidson as an associate AD in recent years. And of course, Will knows everyone who has played baseball at Davidson the last 4 decades, basically. So we're looking at between Cook and DeBose probably some Connie Mack numbers in terms of the numbers of games that they've watched. So, Coach Cook, Will,
I actually coached against Connie Mack around 1931, not long after my first BP round in 1902, I think you referenced earlier. So, Will, are you there?
I'm there. I'm here.
Hey, thanks for jumping on. So tell me,
Sure.
what year is this for you at Davidson?
41.
41. Holy cow. This is 35 for me. You've made me seem like a young man, which I'm not. I want to talk to you, get your opinion on a couple things about the state of the game relative to the way the game is played. In college and professional baseball, we now have an action clock, pitch clock, whatever you want to call it. And it attempts to speed the game up and make it more interesting for the fans. Do you think it works at the college level?
I think it works. I'd like to see not when you throw over to first, you can't do it. You can't throw over 10 times. I wish they would make a rule where you can throw it over 3 or 4 times, and I think that would help speed the game up a little bit even more.
That's a good observation. And professional baseball has that limit. Um, I think what's interesting about it at the college level is that every program has to have a visible clock now
Right.
by NCAA rule, which began last year. And the schools can choose whether the umpires handle that clock or whether they have personnel on the in the press box doing it. We have chosen rightly, I think, to have the umpires do it. What I've noticed, though, and this is me being focusing on too many things I don't need to worry about. I don't think the umpires do a very good job with it relative to starting it when it's supposed to begin.
Right.
Not that I'm looking for a lot of pitch clock violations, but I think maybe because they've got so much else they've got to think about, sometimes they don't get that clock going at exactly the right time. Where in professional baseball, there are folks whose job it is, I'm starting that clock, I'm stopping it, I'm locked in. That's how I'm making my living, and I think it probably functions a little better that way. Do you feel like the college game is moving faster?
A little bit, a little bit. But there are some games that still last 3.5 hours, which is too long.
Okay. So tell me about, and this, we don't have this at the college level, and I don't think we ever will because of cost, but at the professional level now, in AAA, they're using a challenge system on balls and strikes. And they've experimented for the past couple of years. And basically where they are now in AAA is each team gets 2 challenges a game. The challenge can only come from the pitcher, catcher, or the hitter. It has to be done right away. You can't be getting information from the dugout. If you get the challenge correct, if the umpire calls that a strike and you're the hitter, you think it was a ball, you tap your helmet, say, I want to challenge that. The video comes up. It's the exact technology that they use in Wimbledon and the US Open in tennis. It's immediate. If you're correct, you hang on to that challenge. Do you like that concept? And the thought is that that's going to make its way to the major leagues someday, that something has to make its way to the major leagues. Do you agree that that's something Major League Baseball needs?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you got the video, you might as well just do it.
Yeah, and then having seen a number of games with the Knights, it's amazingly quick and accurate. And the fact that the dugouts can't sit there and think about it. It's got to happen right away. There's been conversation that perhaps 3 challenges as opposed to 2. I think what we're seeing now in the college game too, with so many schools having TrackMan and other technology that evaluates basically how well an umpire did, I think we've created in a good way more accountability for the umpires on their ball strike jobs at the college level. And I think if we'd had TrackMan back when our good friend Randy Collins was still with us in umpiring, I think his wife would have discovered that I was right most of the time when I maybe disagreed with a call or 2 of his.
So you missing
Coach,
Randy?
Excuse me?
So are you missing Randy?
Yeah, it was always a good start to the season.
It was
some lively conversations, and Coach Taylor would have a better perspective as to the strength of the ball strike jobs by the umpires. But I sit behind home plate a lot, and it's not perfect, but I think there's some accountability there because of TrackMan and some of the data that the umpires can now get. Are there any concerns that you have about the college game overall? Do you like the way the game's being played, approached?
I do. I like the way it's moving in the right.
It certainly seems like there's a lot more hard throwers in college.
Oh, absolutely.
And you and I've talked about we'd like some of those hard throwers to walk fewer batters, but I think everyone feels that way. So maybe that will all come over time as everyone adjusts to this new trend. And the final question I want to ask, give me your outlook on the Braves. Don't tell me they're going to win the World Series or not. How do you feel about them moving into this year based on the offseason? What's happened with them, with other teams? How are you feeling going into the lead up to spring training?
I'm a little worried that they haven't made more moves, but I'm sure they're going to make another move or two before the season starts. They'll make a move probably in spring training.
Well, if after 41 years you decide you've had enough with Davidson, I could see Will DeBose, assistant general manager, Atlanta Braves, being the next thing on your resume. JP, thanks for having us on, and we look forward to the rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Will. Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Well, we've talked a lot. Davidson's had, a lot of baseball alums do interesting things. We know that, but it's probably safe to say that even Eric Jones himself couldn't have planned or imagined kind of the path his career's taken since he graduated in 2019. After Eric played some pro balls with the played some pro ball with the Mariners and served as Seattle's bullpen catcher, he joined forces with the Savannah Bananas, where he's thrived in what's known as the greatest show in sports. This will be Eric's third full year with the Bananas. And the show just continues to surge by leaps and bounds, sellouts left and right. They're playing in Major League Baseball parks now. They hit 6 last year. They're going to play in 17 this year, as well as make an appearance close to home. So Eric was unable to be with us tonight, but Rucker was able to sit down with Eric recently and talk about his Davidson experience, his career, and of course, Banana Ball.
All right, Jonesy, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. So we've obviously talked on the phone a couple of times, and yeah, things we said, man. The last time I saw you in person was a couple summers ago. You were with the Seattle Mariners. You and Sam Ryerson are both working for them out on the West Coast recruiting. And man, Oakland, I think, had about 500 people in the stands that day for the A's versus Mariners, in Oakland. And, next time I see you, I flip it on TV and Victoria and I are watching, and you're playing in front of like 10,000 people. Some really cool venues with the Bananas, man. So quite a journey, and I'm kind of excited, or actually really excited to catch up with you today and hear a lot more about it.
Yeah, definitely. It's been an awesome path from my time since Davidson, sparked by my time at Davidson. Sam helped me get into that role with the Mariners, which was amazing because I got some major league experience, but I knew I wasn't done playing. So transitioned into Bananas, and it's been a blessing getting to play in some amazing parks already, and we got some really exciting venues coming up for this season too.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna touch on the obvious one for this season, and then I want to kind of unpack your journey because I think it's really unique, man. We had Will Schomburg on here for the fall, who was a 4-year guy at Davidson, and much like yourself, was a really good player for 4 years at Davidson. Very similar to you, had the opportunity to play professionally affiliated ball, and Shambi's in year 2 now after getting traded from the Mariners to the Florida Marlins. Your past really unique, man. You've done the affiliated, you've done independent, and now you're with arguably the most exciting team on the planet right now for organized baseball. So want to unpack that. I think the for the group probably listening here, a lot of Charlotte-based people. You yourself, a Charlotte native, as we're talking about before we started recording here, this summer, June 7th, man. Why don't you tell us what's going on in Charlotte?
Yeah, we're playing at Bank of America Stadium in downtown Charlotte. So it's just an amazing opportunity, something that I couldn't even believe when they announced it, because this is my third full-time season with the Bananas. And since I've been there, I've been basically like, hey, we should play in Charlotte. And, thinking about the night stadium that they have uptown, and to see the schedule released. And the owner, Jesse, told us a little bit ahead of time that we were going to be playing in Charlotte, but not at the night stadium, at the Panther Stadium. And that was just a complete blowing experience to be realizing that we were going to be playing in 75,000 in front of 75,000 in my hometown. It just makes me so excited because I know how many people that I know that are going to be there, and I know how big of an event it's going to be for the Charlotte community. And I just can't wait for all the people that I know and love to see the show, because when you see the Bananas content online and, maybe you haven't seen an actual game in person. It's a completely unparalleled like sporting experience. It's kind of like all the um, excitement of like your favorite concert in person paired with a baseball game, paired with a theatrical performance. So there's really nobody or no organization doing what we're doing, and it just makes me so excited for people to see it because I've had so many people tell me it's their favorite, live experience that they've ever been to. And last year we got to test going to bigger venues. So we played in 6 major league parks last year, and we're playing in 17 this year with 4 football stadiums. Um, so I think we saw last year that the experience still translates really well, even when there are more people there, and just going to be an amazing event and something that, I've got starred on my calendar is like the thing I'm most excited for.
Nice, nice, nice. And schedules, obviously, the Bananas schedule's online, correct? Everybody can check it out online. Tickets are online.
Yep. Yeah. Bananas schedules online. Playing all across the country, playing in Anaheim, Angel Stadium in California, playing in New York, Yankees playing in Florida and Tampa, and Fort Myers coming up in a couple weeks.
Nice, nice. And Fenway last year, right?
Yeah, Fenway last year and
How was
this
that?
year. Fenway was an amazing experience. It was, the date that our owner had circled because when they were kind of talking to me about getting into the organization full time, which this would have been a little over 2 years ago now, he was like, within 5 years, we'll be playing in Fenway. And, it took him less than 2 to do that. He's from Massachusetts. And, so much history. I got to, take BP on the field at Fenway when I played in the Cape Cod League after my junior year at Davidson. So that was surreal. And then coming back and seeing a sold out crowd there now, like wearing yellow, excited to watch us play. I got to do a home run derby that was part of our pregame show and festivities, and won that, and crowd going crazy, hitting home runs over the Green Monster. Still like a surreal experience. I got to go inside the Green Monster and sign it, and it's like almost doesn't even feel warranted, but it's kind of the reality of what's going on, and just feel very blessed and fortunate to be a part of it.
Yes, yes. So, as you're saying these things, I'm thinking back, the first time I believe I saw you play baseball, going into your high school senior year, we're at a showcase camp tournament type thing in Long Island. And you could tell, man, like sometimes you just kind of see guys like, man, this guy's got a chance, right? We make mistakes as coaches. We make bad evaluations, and did that. And he came to a little showcase at Wilson Field, and it's kind of like, yep, this is gonna work, right? So, I think hit middle of our lineup for 4 years, basically, in some record books on some really good teams. I think you've got the 2017 Super Regional team on, if I remember correctly. You
Oh yeah.
held down third base, I think, hitting in the 5 hole in a really good lineup as a sophomore, man. And now, again, as I said, look up, and I believe you hit pretty close to 400 one year in affiliated ball, destroyed independent ball to get that opportunity. And, now you look up and, you're hitting 3-4 hole on ESPN and ESPN2, and, for the Bananas, man. So you've always you've always been a baseball player. What's, just kind of the progression now of this game you're playing, what are the similarities? What are the differences? What have you kind of learned as a player, since you're last in a Davidson uniform, I guess?
Yeah, one of the differences playing for the Bananas is just how much stuff there is going on around you. You'll be in the dugout and there'll be full bands, walking through the dugout. You always got fans down there because they're doing promotions. You've got the owners and the staff and everybody. It's like they're running the show through the dugout. So it's just a different experience versus a traditional baseball dugout where everybody's just on the fence watching the pitcher or whatever, talking about baseball. You've got all the chaos of, you know, a live entertainment show going on around you. So with that and with all the stuff that's going on, there's like, you know, a million things that are exciting and could be distracting, but like as a player for me, it's just like keep yourself locked in, be ready for your bets. And kind of one of the things I've always found throughout my career is like if you hit the ball hard, like good things are going to happen, like in the game and in your life. And it's funny, you know, you bring up that first time that, you know, we met and you got to see me in New York at a showcase. And the only reason I went to that showcase essentially was because I had been hit in the eye and I broke my orbital bone. And, you know, I think I was like a month out of that injury when I went up there. And it's just funny how, you know, that series of events goes on because, you know, if I would have milked that injury or had used that to deter me from chasing my goals and, you know, dreams of playing baseball at the next level, the path would be a lot different and I likely wouldn't be where I am right now. And I think that's just kind of the message through every level. You know, didn't get drafted after my senior year after having a great career numbers wise at Davidson. And it's like, you know, I could have hung it up then and I definitely thought about it, transitioned into doing something different, but took the opportunity to go play independent ball. And, you know, when I made that decision, it was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going all in. You know, I'm not going to show up here and just try to have a good time and, you know, hope something happens. Like I'm giving my best every single day. And then played great and realized I could dominate at that level and showed that. And then got the opportunity to play in the Twins system. Got to play 5 games and then season ended, COVID the next year. So that's another opportunity where it's like, you know, I know a lot of people that hung it up during COVID because all of 2020 I was working out in facilities and training and didn't get to play, but, you know, went that whole season signed. And then at the end of that year, got released, went back to independent ball again, played well, went to the Mariners, got signed to the Mariners system, hit 353, didn't get re-signed. So it's like, there's always going to be the adversity. There's always going to be reasons to hang it up or whatever, to stop doing the things that you want to do. A lot of times people aren't necessarily just like handing you the opportunity that you want or even treating you fairly. But I feel like if you're focused and determined, you know, you can create your reality and just full steam ahead and you'll be aligned with people that can help you get to where you want to go. So I'm definitely grateful for the opportunity to still be playing baseball, playing for the Bananas, because people are excited about it. And I could feel that the very first time I did anything with the Bananas was after that. So I got released by the Mariners. I was going back to play independent ball again, but this opportunity came up to play banana ball for a shortened like 6-week season before my independent season. So I did that and I saw, you know, a sold out minor league stadiums and that people were excited and that this was fast and it was different. They're playing music. We're having a good time on the field. And I was like, yeah, okay, I see the vision. And then I seen the schedule going into the next year. We were playing in like 30 different minor league parks or whatever, something like that, like an 80-game schedule. And I was like, okay, this is going to be legit. And I think it's something I want to be a part of. And I see the trajectory there. And I'm still playing baseball. You know, if, you know, a major league team sees my swing or whatever and wants to pull me over. And that was kind of what I was telling the Mariners big league team when I was there. I was like, hey, I'm still looking to play. I can handle all these pitchers. And I just hit 350 in your minor league system last year. So if you got a real opportunity, like I want it. And that opportunity was only there for me as a bullpen catcher. And that's why I went with Bananas, and it's been great. And I'm excited to keep moving forward. And Bananas has brought me into so many other endeavors that I never would have considered. So we constantly got the camera on us. So I'm a lot more comfortable being on camera, creating content, acting, dancing, doing stuff with music. I enjoyed theater when I was a young child, and then everything in my life just became about baseball.
Yeah.
So that was really the only passion that I ever fully like pursued throughout my formative years. And now it's really fulfilling to touch on some of those other areas and to not limit myself of like what I'm capable of doing. And I definitely credit like a lot of that mentality to Davidson too, like having that liberal arts education where you're studying a lot of things. I did like philosophy classes. I had to take a Russian film class, and a lot, learning things about all
Yeah.
these different areas of life just kind of teaches you how to think. And I think the critical thinking is like the most important skill you can have.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You touched on a lot of good stuff there. So I think for me, sitting back, listening to that, I'm getting older, right? I got a little gray in this thing, and man, honestly, it makes me proud, man. Like, I think you and I had a good relationship for really, I guess, 5+ years during the recruiting process, and now, and to sit back and have the conversation we had the other night, right? Like, I'm a new father. To hear you talk about, that's something you want to do, you're excited about it. To see how excited you are for what you're doing right now, man. Like that's why we do as coaches, right? Like the wins are awesome. You want to have the relationships, you want to see, young people explore, figure themselves out. And, I've never told you this, man, and probably not my place to, but I remember, when you were, playing, figuring out what's next, you talked about coaching some, right? And, I think it's in your family, right? Like some great family history there. And, you're an econ grad, as you pointed out earlier, also double major, you got a poli sci in there too. And it's like, man, like you're Davidson grad, one of the toughest schools in the country. Econ, econ is kind of what, I mean, Charlotte's a finance hub, right? So, man, like, do you branch away from maybe what 95% of econ grads from Davidson do, and you're gonna go play, baseball, independent baseball, you're gonna go, I thought the Mariners gig was awesome, man. Be a, travel with the big league team. I thought you had a great setup, and hey, I think about this bananas thing. And I'm like, holy moly, man! Like, my mind, I'm going, what is it? I don't know as you do, and you studied it, man, and you got in at the right time. And I kind of think of that process of now you're playing, but you said, man, you're interacting with people. I've gotten multiple videos from people connected with Davidson of dancing on top of a dugout, of interacting with their kids. So for me, man, like it's almost a full circle type deal. I have this conversation in that, you're impacting people, you're doing something you love, you're evolving. And we joked about you've got this fancy microphone set up, and as we talked about at the very beginning, man, like, you're Jonesy to me, but man, there's a lot of people that know you on social media as EJ, right? So, man, touch on that a little bit, because that's you're always on time, you worked hard, you're serious, you're professional, and now we see this almost kind of like we talked about, man. It's almost like you're Eric Jones by day, and you step through that curtain, and we're a wrestler almost, and you're not Dwayne Johnson, you're The Rock, man. So what is that like? So give me that evolution into EJ, and like you said, man, you're learning about promotion, you're learning about how to interact with crowds. Like, what does that look like, man? Because that's a fascinating world to me.
Yeah, it's been a really fun experience, and it's been a lot of like self discovery and just like learning a lot about myself. And I think we connected because like we could tell that we were both like supremely passionate about like baseball, and that was like what we were doing, and that was our focus. So like we had aligned goals, and I feel like that's kind of how I've approached this bananas thing too, where it's like, okay, they want us to be a personality, they want us to be entertaining. When the camera's on you, you have to capitalize on that time. So I think just trying to buy in completely to what I'm doing now, and trying to do my job the best that I can. Once I made that decision to go with bananas, it's like, okay, that's a new world I'm stepping into. I'm no longer just a baseball player. Like, you can't limit yourself in that fashion. You have to continue to dominate the baseball aspect of things because it's the most important to what I do. But ultimately, the job is so much more. So anytime I get to step out in front of the fans, in front of the the crowd, it's like, what can I do that they're going to remember? And ultimately it's really fun. You know, you create these moments. Like when I was in Buffalo, I hit a home run and I jumped through the table, like Bill's Mafia style.
That was on, I think that's one of the ESPN games.
On ESPN.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, there's this moment, there's this opportunity in front of you. It's like, capitalize on it.
Yep.
Do something that's gonna, you know, fire you up and fire the people up. And, you know, they can tell when the energy and when, you know, you're being genuine, you're being who you are. And that's really, I think all it is just like amplifying your characteristics. And, you know, you bring up wrestling. I got to meet John Cena at the beginning of last year.
Picture, man. How cool is that?
Unreal. Like I
Yeah.
grew up watching him, watching WWE, and meeting him in real life. Well, one, I'd never seen arms that were that big.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even look real. They're like the size of quads, legitimately. And one of the things he said to us was like, say yes to opportunities. You know, a lot of people want to nitpick things and maybe it's not exactly what you want or what you had seen yourself doing, but say yes. Don't limit yourself. And you never know what you're going to be really passionate about or what's going to like pique your interest or really just fire you up. And I think that's the main thing. People can tell when you're genuinely excited about stuff. So stepping into the performance world, into the social media world has been a tough experience in some, but ultimately really rewarding because I'm seeing myself grow in different areas. And even just like, you know, the act of creating content has been like we talked about the microphone or whatever. It's been really informative because I'm learning about new stuff and I'm testing myself. And I just started a podcast with the other catcher. It's called The Catching Corner. And we're talking about catching related stuff. We're talking about banana stuff. And to even just see myself in that sort of role where I'm putting the microphone, you know, in front of me and I'm interviewing somebody else. We're talking about stuff. I'm trying to be a personality a little bit, but ultimately just give fans an insight to who I am and what we're doing. It's just really rewarding, especially when people engage with the content and tell me they enjoy it or if something really resonates with them, or the countless number of kids that have told us that, you know, I quit baseball, but now I'm playing again because of you, or, you know, I love what you guys are doing and now I'm playing baseball again. It's like, I just always love baseball. So it really feels like we're doing something good for the sport and getting people fired up about it. And banana ball is really like baseball for everybody, you know, all age groups. We got dancing grandmas out there. We got the dad bod cheerleaders. We give out roses to the little girls. It's like there's something for everybody there. And I think everybody that comes to one of our shows has a great time.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I know you've got practice I think you got to get to, so we're gonna kind of wrap it up here. Victoria and I and Bo, we're planning to be in Bank of America in June. My guess is Jerry Bazin will be there in a Eric Jones Savannah Banana. I think you guys said you got it autographed. Is that accurate? Did you get it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Did that for him, which is so happy to do and appreciate. You know, Max is my roommate. Basically every year I was at Davidson and a great friend. And yeah, those connections you build at Davidson, they definitely last a lifetime. And they're my best friends, the people in my baseball class there. And they're the people I talk to about the most important things in my life. And, you know, they've always supported me in doing what I want to do. And I think that's the other thing, just circling back real quick. It's like, I always wanted to find a way to make a career out of doing the things that I loved. And I knew that like, if I pursued my passions, I'd be able to find a route that made sense and that I was able to keep doing that. And even if it wasn't, you know, as pretty as everybody would have liked it to be right off the bat, and it's easy to play the comparison game, it's like, I'm going to be a lot happier ultimately doing something that fires me up. And, you know, I'm excited to have found something that's allowing me to do that in the bananas.
Yeah. Well, man, I am happy for you. The excitement, the sincerity, man, you can feel it through the screen right here. And, you know, as we play this for our Zoom, I certainly hope that everybody watching can feel it, because I certainly can, man. It's brings a little moisture to my eyes, man. But that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Last thing, give everybody on here Savannah Banana schedules online. You've got
Yep.
a podcast. Give us all
Yeah.
your social stuff so people
Yeah,
can
Eric Jones Jr. _ on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Eric Jones Jr. You can follow me on there. Be trying to get stuff out. Just to look into banana life or look into my life anytime cool things pop up. Yeah, any engagement is more than appreciated. I'm going to be in the Charlotte area for that June 7th game. We're now allowed to use branding as a banana. So I'm open to business opportunities to be Eric Jones, the Savannah Banana. So if there's any business opportunities that, open up and would align with that image or to use my likeness in that way, I would definitely be excited to talk about anything like that, and appreciate you guys listening and support the Davidson College baseball program, because it's been just so important to me in my life and shaping other young men to be the best versions of themselves.
Beautiful. Well, I assume Jerry Bazin's gonna be listening to this. So Jerry, it's and Eric, not step on your father's toes here. So sorry.
Shout out Brad Jones.
We got a Rucker Taylor, Eric Jones versus Jerome and Max Bazin pickleball 2-on-2 at some point this summer. Jerry's been talking up his pickleball skills, so we'll get you in a bananas outfit. He can wear your signed jersey. We're gonna get a little 2-on-2 action there and see what happens.
And I'm gonna say I like our chances, Coach.
Look, Max is a heck of an athlete, but his father's just a great talker. We'll leave it at that. So, Eric, this has been awesome, man. I know you run. Much appreciated. You got a game when our Zoom's live, so that's why we're recording here. But man, thanks for making the time. This has been wonderful to catch up, and man, good luck with the season. Stay healthy, and you killed it, man. This is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
All
it.
right.
See ya.
See you.
How about that? Eric Jones, class of 2019, and a member of the Savannah Bananas. He's got great stuff on his resume. Good player here at Davidson, part of the super regional team in 2017, minor league career, bullpen catcher at the big league level, and now just doing all kinds of things with the Savannah Bananas. You just feel like he's part of that tidal wave that they have right now. It's just a lot of momentum around that operation. Very cool. So Rucker, thank you for catching up with Eric. It's always great to see him, and look forward. Hope to be in Charlotte and see that live as well. So with that, we're gonna work toward our Q&A, but first I want to bring in Molly Simons. She is an associate director in athletic development here at Davidson. She joined us last season, mid-season, kind of hit the ground running, and Molly is here tonight and entering her first full season working with Davidson baseball. How you doing, Molly?
Doing well. Thanks, JP. I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everybody who's on the call for joining the call and for your engagement with the program. We're so grateful for all the support that you give us. The philanthropic support that you give us also ensures the team has everything that they need to be successful and to achieve their goals. So again, just wanted to take a moment to say hello. Thank you for all you do for the team. Please use me as a resource if you ever have questions about ways that you can make an impact. And I hope to see you soon at a game at Wilson Field. So with that, I'll turn it back over to JP.
Thanks, Molly. All right, Rucker, time to pop back on here. It's Q&A time. If you have any questions, put that in the little Q&A tab. We have one, Rucker, right now from your boy, Jim Richards.
Oh, boy.
He wants to know about your beard. What's the story with your beard? It's, is it going to stay? Is it going to go at some point?
Yeah, it was we'll be off by this time next week, most likely. Like to grow in the winter and shave off where the season gets rocking and rolling.
Rucker, that was really cool with Jonesy. And I've been here since 19, I guess, but knew him as a player on that 17 team when I was outside covering for the paper and everything. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I think his evolution as a person and certainly as a player has been fun to watch. And I think everybody here could kind of see the energy, the passion he had when he's talking about it, right? And for him to get those messages from young people saying that they're now playing baseball again because of him, like that's really special. And yeah, he's been able to do a lot of different things. I think we talked afterwards. I think coaching is eventually something he's going to want to get into, but his ability to impact people right now, travel the world really is really cool opportunity. So really happy for him. And he said the Charlotte event in the Panther Stadium early June. A lot of the bananas they sell out pretty quickly. There's tickets last week when I looked, and uh, we certainly plan on being there as a family.
What about improvements around Wilson Field right now? I know there's a few things happening. Just an update on those kind of things.
Yeah, so supposedly starting next week, outfield fence padding and then dugout and what I would call the backstop, so the area between both dugouts. We're going with a baseball green to match the cheerback seats, I guess, are 2 years old now. Also, kind of within that project, there's a company called Aware, which in layman's terms, I would describe that as a wireless camera system. So we'll have, I believe, 6 added cameras uh, with the idea for player development, be able to watch practice, watch inter squads. But I think, for a lot of people watching this call, it also will tie into our live stream. So anytime ESPN Plus is broadcasting, my understanding is these 6 cameras are all going to be accessible. And JP, maybe you can speak on that. That's more your area than mine, certainly. But Aiden got an email today that says I think they've got somebody coming out early next week. So I don't want to promise both those things being done next week, as the weather forecast from a precipitation standpoint is not the most favorable I've seen for baseball the first couple of days. Weekend looks good so far, but certainly in the very near future, I think that padding will be there, and then those 6 new camera angles for our guys will have apps on their phone where they say 5 minutes after we upload the video, it's edited it, so Michael O'Shaughnessy and Landon Reeves and Eli Putnam can see on their phone, before they've even taken a shower, in the locker room, what all their bats look like from that day. So pretty excited about that. It's a fairly popular tool that is getting a little bit of prominence in college baseball now. So we're very excited to have that. Big picture, there's always things we're trying to do. We had a little bit of an outfield renovation this year, which I think was helpful. There's certainly a world where, turfing the full field, I think would be a wonderful thing for a few different reasons. And there's certainly a dugout project I've got in my mind that would love to do. And, ultimately you're trying to make things easier, better, and more enjoyable for the players, right? And within that, like the chairbacks last year, the people on this call, the parents, the alums, the fans in general, people in town, you want them to enjoy coming to the ballpark, and I think the chairbacks certainly did that. So I think the biggest thing you'll see differently this year will be that fence padding. The cameras are a little bit smaller. If you're watching online, those 6 extra cameras, I think will certainly make a great difference.
We've got a question about parking. There's a little bit more at the football stadium now, and then that beyond right field, I'm honestly not sure at this point if that's going to be accessible like it was during football season.
Yeah, there's some people up there today. We have not had any kind of lengthy conversation about that. Looks like JR is the one that asked that question, and I don't think anybody's gonna tell him what to do. So I do think there's a possibility of more parking, some paved, some a natural grass surface in right field that could be helpful. And yeah, certain times of the year when there's a lot of things on campus, parking is not the easiest. Some of the places do tend to be in foul ball territory, so that outfield, right field, center field area, certainly could be a realistic option for people.
All right, Rucker, why don't we just kind of wrap it up there? Is there any other thoughts as we kind of head down the home stretch of the preseason, one week away from opening day tomorrow, 1 week from tomorrow?
No, this is wonderful. And if anybody else does have questions, a couple of our coaches are on here and all the captains are, so please feel free to throw those out. But much as Molly said, thank you to so many people on this call that make a lot of things we do possible. To these captains, thank you guys publicly for all you've done to date. Certainly look forward to you guys continuing to lead. And Adam and Carissa, who I don't think's on here, thank you all for helping put this together. And JP, Coach Cook, thank you guys for hopping on, and Will obviously as well. And finally, JP, thanks for doing this, man. It's nice to see a couple new jokes. But you've handled this well and becoming an old pro at this, man. So thank you for all that you do.
I appreciate it. Looking forward to another season. Should be a lot of fun seeing everybody at Wilson Field, man. It comes quick after the holiday break, it feels like, and but it's fun. And you had Duran Olinger at practice today, right? He stopped by briefly, and
Yeah, it's been a lot of guys, man.
yeah,
Hindi, Hardy, Shambi were here. I think last Saturday. Nick Shedleski, I think was there Sunday or Friday. Joe Haney's come by a couple of times. Jacob Peden came by, and he's there's a lot of our guys that had that fifth year. He's been able to have the opportunity to go elsewhere, and he came by in like full Missouri gear, so I got to crush him for that. I mean it's been great. We've had a lot of guys. Friend was around a lot in the off season.
yep.
So it's been cool to see those guys that are not just playing professionally, but just back in general. Parker Nolan, Matt Fry, Trevor
Mhm.
Candelaria all came by and had a chance to speak with the team. And even more recently, Robert Enhorn, who was,
Yeah.
I think, a second rounder, played in the big leagues from Davidson, lives outside the country right now. And, he had messaged me, I don't know, 2 months ago, have him be in Raleigh for an event. What do you guys have going on Monday the 2nd? And, long story short, he showed up and we spent, 3 or 4 hours together, and he hadn't been to campus in 35 years. So get to, kind of show him around. That was a cool experience, and wonderful guys and a lot of interesting stuff. So yeah, to the alums on here, that's probably my favorite part of this night is texting a lot of those guys as reminders, hey, Zoom's tonight, hop on, and then going back and forth with those guys, and sharing pictures of Bo in this case, or Hendy had sent me a picture of something completely random. So going back and forth with those guys is makes this night special.
Casey Sutherland in the messages as well. That's
Now, what's he got? This could be good. Is it
Just said
Casey or
thank you.
Troy? If it's Troy, it's going to be something good. I guess Kate, that's a little more in control. So we actually got to spend recruiting in Florida this fall. Josiah and I were down there and stayed with Bobby Hearn, one of our former pitching coaches, and we were able to get out of Florida for when the hurricanes came through. But we stayed with Troy, and it was myself and Brett Beretti, who's an alum who may actually be on this as well. And Brett and I got to stay with Troy, and man, he's a character. So the Southern family is always a pleasure to see them, and that Davidson network is cool to see, whether it's Florida or North Carolina or California.
What would your advice be to alums who maybe didn't play in the era that we're in now, but want to connect? What's the best way just to reach out and connect with you?
Yeah, yeah. Come by, see us in person. Obviously, the schedule creates some opportunities on the East Coast. We do tend to be, mid-Atlantic and North, just based on the conference. Next year, our non-home non-conference, so basically our one road non-conference is a tournament at Wake Forest. We'll be in the Winston area. 2 years from now is a tournament at East Carolina. So maybe for some of our, alumni in the eastern part of the state, or even Virginia, DC, that might be a short one to get down to. But I think a lot of the guys, Beretti, I mentioned earlier, um, Alex Veggie Johnson, some guys there in the DC area. A lot of them have their own kind of alumni era groups planned to meet up to games, which is wonderful. We've also some information will be coming out. We're kind of targeting the George Washington series this year, later in the year, as an alumni weekend. And I got asked a couple questions tonight about making a golf tournament event out of that. So nothing planned officially. Anything that's grassroots effort or organic on that nature, we certainly fully support. And then we're looking at doing the alumni game again next fall, but also throwing some golf in with that, and maybe another event or two. So long answer to your question is that easy answer. A lot of the guys have my number. Just reach out and say, hey, after a good win, certainly a great thing, and sometimes even better on a long bus ride home Tuesday night after a miserable midweek. Those are even better. So just reach out and say, hey, we appreciate it.
I believe you have a message from one of the Basins on
Oh
the
boy,
Q&A.
boy, hopefully it's not Jerry.
It is.
Okay, yeah. Well, Jerry's probably my third favorite Basin at least, so that's fine.
All right, good deal. I think we'll leave it right there, Ruck. Looking forward to it.
All right. Appreciate it, JP. Thanks everybody for hopping on.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night and look forward to seeing you at Wilson Field.